And now a word from our sponsors. Tenebra's Press is the home of new weird horror. Their latest release, One Hand to Hold, One Hand to Carve by M. Shaw, is a surreal body horror tale of two halves of a human cadaver who awaken in the morgue with no memory of their previous life as a single body, but with very different notions of what they want out of their new lease of life. For more information, visit www.tenebraspress.com.
Hey everybody, Tom Dede here, Bram Stoker Award-winning author of Haven. Just like to invite everyone to come by and see me at the Ghoulish Book Festival in San Antonio, Texas on April 30th and May 1st. I will be sitting in on a couple panels, doing some readings, and it should be a great time. If you can't make it, check me out at tomdede.com. Thanks.
How we do this, we are the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of my little spooky podcast, Ghoulish. I am Max Booth, an undead host. And on today's program, I am talking to John C. Foster about secret government agencies to celebrate the release of his new novel, Leech, published through my own small press, Ghoulish Books. Leech is out now. You can buy it any place you buy books. I will have a link in the show notes. Obviously, Leech has to do with secret government agencies, which is why we're talking about that on the program. So enjoy. Also, John is going to be coming down to the Ghoulish Book Fest, which is happening this fucking weekend, April 30th, May 1st. If you happen to be listening to this episode when it goes live, only a few days left until the fest in downtown San Antonio. Go on over to ghoulishbookfest.com to get a badge. It's going to be fun. I hope you come down and say hi. I think it's going to be a blast. I also think it's going to kill me. So, yeah. If you can come down, do that. If not, hey, at least you could pick up a copy of John C. Foster's new novel, Leech. Really fun book. We talk about the book in this episode. We talk about secret government agencies. We talk about the film fest. We talk about just like Brooklyn for some reason. I don't know. It's kind of a lengthy episode. It's a fun one. That's all I got to say. Enjoy.
It's Sunday morning and I'm lucky I remembered to put pants on. So
yeah. What time do you wake up?
Normally I get up between 6 and 7 because Coraline, our 65-pound Pit Shepherd mix, gets me up.
Yeah.
There's no sleeping through that.
You live in Brooklyn, so there's no like open the back door and go ahead and go pee and come back in, dog. You have to take her out, right?
Oh yeah, I have to take her out and just be prepared for Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Which is normally okay, early in the morning because Brooklyn's just like the bad things are asleep.
Yeah.
The problem is if we get up super early, sometimes it happens, we'll get up around 5 and I'm just like, fuck, it's close enough. I'm not going back to sleep now.
Yeah.
So we'll go out and it's still dark and you're seeing people and you're like, man, you have not gone to bed yet. And I don't want to be sharing this dark part of the sidewalk with you.
Yeah. Brooklyn can be terrifying. I think I told you about this, but my brief week staying in Brooklyn for Tribeca, I was walking just down the street, looking around. I've never been in this state or this city, so I'm just walking around. I pass like a group of, I don't know, like custodian people, maybe construction people, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I make eye contact with one lady, and I just nod and I go like, "Hi," or something like that, and she just goes, "What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing." I just kept walking.
No. Yeah.
So I imagine walking around at 5 a.m. you would get shivved.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Our neighborhood's fine. I mean, people last year did get shot down the end of the street, but I think they were like staying in an Airbnb situation, so they're not locals, so they don't count. I mean, and that was at the end of our block, so that's kind of far away.
They don't count. So if I had died while in Brooklyn, you would have been like, he wasn't local. Doesn't count.
Fucking Texas. What the hell is he doing walking around at 5 a.m. saying hi to people?
Why didn't he have a gun?
Or a big dog.
That is, yeah. I mean, I have a really small dachshund. He's not going to protect anything.
I don't know. They're meaner. The little dogs are meaner.
They sound mean, but I don't think they can do much.
I don't know. I got bit by, it wasn't a dachshund. It was some, I don't know, maybe it was. It was a little tiny dog. Yeah. And I sort of held a door for some guy who was coming out of a store. And this dog lunges over and bites me on the ankle. And the guy just ignores it. And it's like, hey, motherfucker, your fucking dog just bit me on the ankle. And he looks at me confused, like, what's he going to do? And I was like, do I hit this guy or just, oh, fuck it.
You got to bite that dog back.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured I blame the people for everything.
Yeah.
Although sometimes dogs can be jerks.
Yeah. We have this new puppy. He's like 3.5 months old, and he's really chewy right now. So he's been like chewing on my hands a lot, which you kind of have to let them do. And like once they bite too hard, you yelp to let them know, okay, you can't bite that hill. And that's how they grow the little and how to control the pressure of the bite. Anyway, the other day he was like chewing on my hand, and he let go, and my hand was just covered in blood. I was like, oh shit. But after looking, it wasn't my blood. So I looked in his mouth and there was nothing but blood. I was like, oh shit. I've never had a dog this young before. I've always had, like, I got Frank when he was 6 months old. So he wasn't, he was a puppy, but not like a puppy.
Right.
And I kind of like inspected a bit, and I did some frantic Googling, and I discovered, he lost a tooth.
Oh,
yeah, Jesus. That's all it was. I never even conceived of puppies losing teeth.
But right, of course.
Yeah, obviously they do, but it's something I never even thought about before.
Oh, that would have freaked me out.
Yeah. Ugh. So now I know. Now I'm prepared for next time. But goddamn, he can bite hard. My hands are just a mess right now. You'll see when we meet at the fest. I have just grizzled hands at the moment from him just biting the shit out of me. You'll see Lily might have a black eye when you see her next weekend because he fucking headbutted her on the eye yesterday, and it was all swollen.
Coraline gave Linda a black eye once. She was sleeping on the couch, and you know how dogs, they do the paw thing to get your attention.
Yeah.
Well, with Coraline, that's like a punch, from like a big dude. And he hit her right in the face, right in the eye.
Yeah.
And she had a black eye. And then, of course, I walk around wanting to explain to people, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was my fucking dog.
Yeah, I'm nervous about this fest now. I mean, everyone knows I've been super stressed out. We show up. She has a black eye. I don't know what to say to that. Still, she is much stronger than I am. I am not a strong guy, as you know.
You know what? I saw her physical abilities when she did a pirouette in Times Square. And then I saw your physical abilities when you did something that I will not offend the word by calling a pirouette.
What would you call it?
A disgrace to human movement.
Yeah.
A complete failure of anatomy.
That's what the doctor said when they pulled me out of my mom. That's how they labeled me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He should have lost his job, to be honest. That was just a baby.
Right.
So we're talking about secret government agencies today on the podcast. Yes. What is your experience with those?
It's a secret.
Oh, well, that's going to make a bad podcast, John.
Yeah. No, I seriously wanted to go into intelligence work when I was in high school. to the point where I was able to, fortunately, through 2 different high schools, go to the Soviet Union twice in the 80s. Because this was the Cold War. And for people that didn't really grow up with the Cold War, it was a very dominating factor of life. That, at any moment, there was always some sort of proxy war going on somewhere. And at any moment, there could be a massive thermonuclear exchange that would wipe out the entire planet.
Yeah, I didn't grow up then, but I did watch The Americans, so I feel like we're the same now.
We're very much the same. But
what gave you that interest into getting into that type of real originally? What inspired that?
I think it's probably a combination of things. I grew up. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and his dad was a career Army, so that kind of stuff was always a potential for my life. And then with the Cold War, it was just fascinating. And the KGB and the CIA, and I loved reading about, espionage and not necessarily all the good stuff like John le Carré. I was big into Ludlum, which is where Jason Bourne comes from, the real serious shit. And I thought it would be a really interesting life. And so I was able to go over to the Soviet Union twice, and that was really fun. Because I thought I could spend my life dealing with the KGB, not necessarily the Russians themselves, because I met a lot of cool people, and that was neat. And it was neat to learn to experience and pretend like I was a spy when I'd go out. I just kept leaving the tour groups and going out on my own and getting lost and shit, and that was fun. So I learned to get a cab ride for 2 packs of Marlboros and stuff like that. Because the Russians couldn't go into a store that I could go into, so I could get them American cigarettes and trade for contraband and stuff like that. It was really cool. But then, I got a little bit older and I said, fuck it, I'm going to drive to LA and be a writer.
Well, what led to that switch?
There was going to have to be a lot more school to go into the CIA. And I was in my freshman year of college at Boston University. And I just decided, I am just sick of school. I'm sick of the East Coast, and specifically New England. And I just want something completely different. And so I said, screw it. I mean, I was already writing anyway. And I said, screw it. This is going to be my choice. So I, drove across the country to LA where I'd never been and decided to be a screenwriter. And I'd never seen a screenplay before. So there was a lot of good planning. But anyway, I didn't go into intelligence.
Do you regret that at all?
At times, I think it would have been a really interesting life. I think I would have had an aptitude for it.
The whole thing, with those agencies, right? They all you can't then become a writer, can you? Well, maybe you can. I don't know. You can. Like in movies, you see I'm going to write about my life, and then you get fucking shot in the face.
There is a wonderful writer now by the name of Alma Katsu.
Mm-hmm.
And she was CIA.
Yeah, she's been on the podcast.
Yeah, she's really cool. And she I think 2 years ago released her, because she's been writing historical horror.
Mm-hmm.
And she released her first espionage thriller called Red Widow.
Yeah, that's the book she came on. We talked about spies. I kept trying to get her to tell me classified stuff, but she wouldn't.
No, and she's
pretty rude.
She probably bugged your podcast now, and at any moment she could just take you out.
I think she could. Yeah, I mean, if this podcast establishes anything, anybody could take me out at any point in time, and I would not put up a fight. I would let it happen.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have to continue prepping for the event.
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if what we had talked about in the beginning of this is in the podcast. But
I don't remember.
as I'm talking to John on Sunday morning, we are less than a week away from the Ghoulish Book Festival in San Antonio, and preparing for that is exhausting. But I'm excited to see you. You will be coming down. You will be doing a reading. You will be on some panels. That's going to be fun. What are your thoughts about this event?
I'm super excited. I'm first of all, one of the things. Pre-pandemic, and of course now everything's been pushed back to this year, I wanted to make sure that I got out of the Northeast for some conventions to meet in person some of the people that I know online that are writers and publishers and all that. Oh, I see a puppy. And And so I'm pumped to get down there. And I also haven't been in Texas except for changing planes at Dallas since I was a child. So that's kind of just interesting to be on the ground in Texas. It'll be just different.
Have you been to San Antonio at all?
I think we visited some relatives in Dallas when I was like 12, and I think we drove to San Antonio.
Interesting. Do you know why? See the Alamo?
The Alamo, I think. Yeah. But it's a very vague memory. It's
probably really different now too, I imagine, than when you visited as a kid.
I would think so, because that would have been, like 81 or something like that.
We have scootles now that you can rent.
Oh, nice. Nice. I think we should do that. I think we should get some designated for the Ghoulish Festival.
I don't think so, man.
Oh, I think so. I think we put some stickers on them and go whipping around.
I've never used one of them. They don't seem safe. I don't know.
I haven't used one either.
They seem like you guys have them too. I mean, I just see them discolored all over the place, just causing like tripping hazards around sidewalks. That's the main use for them that I have discovered, that you can fall on top of them.
Yeah, the whole, like, you don't have to have any particular set of skills to rent and ride a scooter in the city seems crazy. I remember we saw that, and this was years ago, but in Greece, and you could just rent scooters because Greece has no laws. And it was like, there's like these mountain roads and there's no railing on them. And I'm looking at these idiots riding scooters. I'm like, man, about like 40% of you are going to die.
The same could be said about the Ghoulish Book Fest. 40% of us will die this weekend.
I hope so. I mean, that's actually why I'm coming.
It's going to be a disaster. It's not going to be like, oh, wow, that was run well, and that was a success. It's going to be like a significant disaster that people will talk about for the rest of their life. And that's what I hope to bring.
Look, photos of carnage will be great promotion for next year.
Hulu will make a documentary about it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. If death and at least one cult don't come out of this event, then it's a failure.
I was talking to somebody recently how I think I may have accidentally begun a cult with this Ghoulish thing, because I mean, people tune in every week to listen to me say things, right? And now, I mean, I've branded the name on my flesh. Other people have discussed doing the same thing. I have organized a meetup. People all around the country will come into this event. What happens next? I don't know, but I think I'm onto something. How do people profit from cults? Because I am not profiting yet.
I think the first part is tithing, right? Like 10% of their income has to go to you.
Yeah. I don't know how to convince anyone to let me have some of the income yet. Maybe I can be like, oh, yes, send me the books you write, and maybe I can help you get that made into a movie if you give me 10% of your royalties. But then I don't look at the books.
No, but then you're actually doing work. That's more like being a manager or an agent. I mean, if you're going to be a cult leader, do nothing for them, but get money.
Yes. Okay.
Profit at their expense. If you're not taking from them without giving back, I think you're failing as a cult leader.
I'm going to have to give this some more thought.
Yeah.
I'm not quite ready yet, but I need to practice more, I think, is what we'll establish.
Be a predator.
Yeah.
Be a predator. Yeah. It's just all cruelty, no empathy.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a great event.
I think so too. What panels do we have you on? I think we have you on I know we have you on the crime one, definitely.
Yeah, the crime one, and I think I'm with you on the screenwriting one.
Yes. Yeah, someone just dropped out of that one too, sadly. We've had a few dropouts recently, people who can't make it, and that happens. Yeah. For some reason, I didn't anticipate it, but I think I should have. I don't know. I've never operated an event like this before. I think
it's hard. I think you're probably going to keep discovering things that it's like, I know this. Why didn't I actually just, I had to sign all those things, and which you should get by Tuesday, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
And I told Linda, and I said, I'm such an idiot. For some reason, I just thought these were cards that were going to go inside. They're stickers. And she said, well, yeah, they're stickers. And I said, yeah, I've seen these a million times in books, but for some reason, when I just looked at them, I didn't think stickers. Yeah. And so I think you're encountering a billion of those.
Yes.
You have this information, but yet now you're looking at things from a different perspective of creating an event. And it's like, you know nothing.
Man, it's crazy. Just like, I never anticipated like trying to schedule just like the panels and readings would take like 5 days of our lives, but it did. It sure did. Just try, like at one point we tried to make the schedule and then we realized, oh wait, every single thing is overlapping with each other, so we had to scrap that and redo it again. It's just a pain in the ass, and I don't know why we're doing it. But we're not here to talk about.
No, we're here to talk about secret agencies.
Yeah. So you read a book called Leech, and it has a pretty interesting genesis, I think. So why don't you talk about how that came to be?
Yeah. So it started with one of the anthologies that you put together. It was
Lost Signals.
Lost Signals. Yeah. And I wrote a story for that. Archibald Leech, the Many-Storied Man. And I, really liked the character.
What's that called? Ilmageddon Baby?
Oh, no, wait. Okay. So, well, I'm going to go out of order here.
Okay.
So wait.
Okay.
Wait. So the Lost TV one, what was the title of that one?
Lost Films.
Shut up.
Lost Television.
Right. Lost Minds. Lost Memory. Yeah. So Lost Films, I wrote Archibald Leech. And then I realized when I wrote this, because I was thinking about the character a lot, even after I finished the story, which is a great sign because that usually means there's more to come. And I realized that the story Armageddon Baby, which I had written for Lost Signals, which had come out earlier, I said, I think this is a Leech story. If I just, move one or two things around, this is an Archibald Leech story. I was like, holy shit. And I realized that The Many-Storied Man was the beginning of a great story, and Armageddon Baby was a great end for a longer story. I was like, what do I have for the middle? And it turns out I had written this story set in the 50s. But I said, it was originally, the protagonist is a scientist, but I said, again, with like one or two little pushes, this is an Archibald Leech story. I was like, holy shit. So I had these 3 stories and wasn't sure what to do now, because it's that weird length of, it's almost a novella, but it doesn't make any sense quite yet. And I was talking to my writing group about it and showed them, some of the stories. And they really liked the character and wanted just to see more Leech stories. And I realized, I think I can write more of these. And as I wrote them, I kind of slotted them into place in between the 3 stories that I already had. And a narrative emerged about this unstable secret agent working for a mysterious agency called Control that is itself, it's not entirely benevolent and doesn't entirely understand what to do with Leech or whether or not they trust Leech. And as the arc of the story progresses, he discovers more about himself and is developing more antipathy towards Control. And they are clearly developing more antipathy towards him. And he's starting to feel like at any moment, he's going to get a double tap in the back of the head. But yeah, it was fun to develop Control. And there was a thing, and I want to give props to Victor Laval and his book, Big Machine. Victor is a wonderful writer, and I'm fortunate to consider him a friend. But in Big Machine, he introduces a secret agency, kind of. It's a small little thing, and they're dealing with some paranormal stuff, and I don't want to give too much away about it. But one of the things that I took away, and I gave a nod to it in the first Archibald Leech story, is that this agency is totally underfunded. Like, they have no fucking money. They're taking all these kind of like junkies and addicts and turning them into agents, but they're all wearing like secondhand and third-hand suits and stuff like that. And I thought that fascinated me, the idea, because we always think of, like James Bond and Q, and we know that the CIA and the NSA, they've got satellites and rocket ships and all the, you know, driving Aston Martins and shit. And I love the idea of, you know, Leech drives a big old black Lincoln covered in dust, you know, and it's got some special attributes. This is Bertha. I like to name cars when they're cool.
Do you have one? Do you have a vehicle?
I don't now. My last car was a 1967 Firebird.
What was its name?
It didn't have a name. This was before I got into naming cars. Yeah, I didn't understand. But now I name them, and
but you don't have any. So
no,
you just name them as you pass, like on the sidewalk?
No, I name them in stories.
Oh, okay. Still goes Stu. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean,
just a nut job on a Brooklyn sidewalk calling passing traffic names.
Nobody would even notice.
No,
you've walked around, you know.
Yeah, that is pretty much my experience with Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's it's mellow here enough.
I was stabbed.
You were stabbed. That's well, you lived. That's fine. I mean, it's a good Brooklyn story.
Yeah, I was stabbed twice.
Yeah. Okay, you're clearly doing something wrong. You're saying hello to people.
I kept saying hello to people. That's the difference, though. Like when you come to San Antonio, you're going to see the difference. We have that Southern like friendliness. Everyone nods and says, "Oh, hello, how are you doing?"
I think it's going to scare me.
It might.
I will probably stab somebody.
Yeah, me twice.
Twice. Actually, when you were up here last time, that was me.
It was you. Yeah, you had a mask on, but you also had a name tag on. So I don't know.
I looked like a small Asian American lady, but it was actually me.
Yeah, you were really tall, and you kept saying, "When are we gonna eat?"
Well, okay, that is me. That's my giveaway.
Yeah. I still laugh that we had talked when we met.
Right.
We had talked like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna walk around and you're gonna show us all of New York City." And the moment we met you, you began just saying, "When the fuck are we gonna eat?"
I know. I was totally hangry like a toddler. And Linda was just like, "John, keep walking." I was like, "No, I want to stop and eat."
I just kept thinking, isn't he used to walking around? He lives here. Man.
You know, it's weird because of pandemic, we stopped walking as much. So once things started to open back up, pardon me while I dab my eyes, I had a weird allergic reaction the other day and I'm still getting over it.
So what?
Yeah, it beats the fuck out of me, but my face turned all red and I got all dried out and I couldn't sleep.
Good luck when you come to Texas, buddy. It's nothing but pollen.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Anywho, secret agencies. So one of the things that I also talked about, and this is a favorite in the first Leech story, is Darpa.
Yes.
And Darpa is I have to look at it again because I always forget all the words. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Is this something you made up?
No, this is a real thing. They're really fucking cool.
So tell me about it.
Yeah, they're like, if we ever get invisibility cloaking for ships and stuff like that, it'll come from DARPA. If we get plasma cannons, it'll come from DARPA. Things they've already given us, the internet, because before the internet, there was something they made called ARPANET. Siri, you know, that everyone taught, hey, Siri, tell me blah. That's DARPA.
Okay.
Yeah. They've also created weirder things. They funded that Boston Dynamics group that created that really scary robot dog.
Oh yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, so that's DARPA.
Is that like discontinued, or do they still just have robot dogs?
No, they're still working on it. Although I think there was a neighborhood in New York, of course, a poor neighborhood, and the NYPD wanted to try them out or something like that, and the whole fucking city went nuts. It was like, what the hell? We have enough problems with our cops here. We don't want robot dog cops.
It's going to happen though, isn't it?
Oh, probably. I mean, we're all going to die.
It's just going to be robots patrolling the neighborhoods.
DARPA also made cyborg insects. They could inject technology into insects when they were still in the pupa stage. And then you could basically control where they move. Like once they were grown. which is kind of weird and terrifying.
Do you think they wanted to do that to like infect someone with like mosquito stuff?
Could be as a disease vector. I think it's probably more like surveillance.
Annoyingly sting someone with a wasp.
Well, you could do that just to irritate people, like control a mosquito and just keep buzzing somebody in the ear when they're trying to sleep. I hate those. But yeah, Darpa is wicked cool.
Wow. Now, Leech himself, like, how did that kill till film with you? Because he seemed like in the original story you wrote for Lost Films. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the get-go, like this guy seemed like a really like well-established, developed kill till with a deep, complicated past. So, like, where did he come from?
I have no idea. He came from the magic place where the characters come from.
Yeah.
It was just one of those. Whenever writing goes well for me, a character has landed in my lap. Very formed, mm-hmm. and it starts talking to me. It's sort of like the character of Hoodoo Girl.
Yes.
And I mean, I knew who she was. I knew her voice. I knew what she looked like. And all I had to do was sort of like open up the channel and let her talk. And the same happened with Leech. And, right early in the story, he's on the phone before he gets to the town of Durable where things have gone strange, and he has to call his wife to check in. And she's an alcoholic and kind of crazy. And he's got a shiner beneath his eye. And I knew they had this really weird relationship because he's kind of insane himself. But they're both each other's anchors. And I just knew it, and then I had to sort of explore it, and let it happen. But I just knew these things.
There's also like a lot of supernatural stuff in this book. So it's a crime hill hybrid, I guess I would call it. Yeah. And I just like when you do something like this, do you set in motion any type of rules for the supernatural? Like, okay, well, this obviously exists in my book, but this does not. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you establish that?
I have to ask you a question. I forget. Are we audio only or visual too?
It's audio only.
Good. Okay. As I'm wiping my eyes and looking like an ailing person.
John has been just dying on this podcast. It's been pretty good.
What was your question?
I don't fucking know.
Oh wait, it was something about rules for the supernatural.
Yeah, are you okay? Do you need to take a minute?
Oh no, I'm fine. It's just when you don't sleep a lot, your eyes are all dried out.
You seem like you have been visited by like a man in black or something. Like you have you have seen something traumatizing and you have slept because of it.
Yeah, well, I am king of insomnia. Well, yeah, with the supernatural, I do believe in rules for the supernatural when I'm writing, but I don't believe in always letting everyone know what those rules are, because I think that if you're a character, I mean, if you're a vampire hunter and you're hunting vampires, you know what the fucking rules are. But if you're just Archibald Leech driving into a town where all of a sudden you see all these doppelgangers or whatever, or you've been called up suddenly on an emergency mission because some revenant rose from its grave, you don't know what the rules are. You've just been told, go deal with this. And so you just have to run in and figure it out. I
could really much see this like being a TV show, it has that monster of the week vibe to it, which I love.
I'd love that to happen. I think that would be fantastic.
Let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen.
How do we do that?
We should talk to your manager.
We should.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. We can talk about that after the podcast.
Yeah, that actually would be a lot of fun.
This isn't the only time I've thought that. It's just like,
it's kind of naturally set up for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's called the many-storied man for a reason.
Yeah. But
which is a great title, although I think I'm glad we went with just Leech for the title of the book. I think it's more accessible than the many-storied man, although I do like that title a lot.
I think first of all, Leech punches better. Mm-hmm. It just punches, and also the many-storied man sounds a little, sort of nose in the air. Mm-hmm. We're wearing tweed.
Yeah. This guy is just like covered in demon blood or something.
Yeah, he was fun to write because he's also kind of he's clearly very positive and loving towards his wife and super supportive, but he's also a murderer. He will kill you.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like James Bond, you know, he's the good guy, but he'll fucking just kill you. You know?
Do you have thoughts of like writing other things with him in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it would be easy to continue. And I don't want to give away where the book ends, but it would be easy to write more stories, continue in a linear timeline from where we finish up. Or just, you know, from his life in between when all these things were happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to talk a little bit about this book, I guess. But like, you establish you can pretty much go anywhere in time and have a story with him in it somehow.
Yeah.
And that's fun to me.
Yeah, it was fun to figure that out, you know, and it's kind of like, how do I do this? You're a writer. You're writing in speculative fiction. You could do it. Do it.
So before I began research, I didn't do a lot of research in this, but I did some Googling around before we talked. And before then, I had always assumed Men in Black was like a catch-all term for any type of secret government agency. But I am really wrong. I discovered that the Men in Black type of shady government agency is specifically used for the Men in Black who approached those who see UFOs and try to persuade them not to talk. Did you know that?
I think I've assumed that it always had something to do with like UFOs and stuff like that, but I don't know why I would have assumed that. I don't think I heard that terminology until we got to like, you know, the age of the X-Files and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy though. It's been around since like the 50s or 60s, that film.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mean, growing up, I'm young. I grew up with the movie, the Men in Black movie, and then later on, I discovered, oh, okay, so that's a film that's been used before that movie, and you know, the X-Files, obviously. But I would have assumed like the main cast of the X-Files, they would be considered Men in Black as well. But no. They will investigate.
They're investigators, right? They're not the government shutting you down,
right? Yeah, so that's a really different thing. But like in Leech, that you're not writing about an agency shutting you down, really. You're writing will explain this organization a little bit and what's going on.
Well, it's not as benevolent as Fox and Scully. Do you know? I mean, they rarely use their weapons. And Leech is a combination of Fox and Scully, but also at the same time a wet work problem solver, if that's what is required for the situation. You know, those two are, you know, she's literally a medical doctor, and you know, he's clearly has more of a scientific bent, but Leech is more there to, you know, it's like, what the hell is happening? Says Control. Leech, go find out, and he goes and finds out. And there's one story, and I won't say which one, but it concludes with him calling in an airstrike. Yeah. You know, and they just wipe out the area.
Yeah, and he's feeling much like a weapon, right? I mean, they tell him what to shoot, and he shoots.
He's like recon first, because it may not require destruction. But you know, the things that go bump in the night or bleed through from other dimensions are rarely benevolent. And so he is capable of, in many cases, just dealing with it.
Do you think it would be safe to talk about the plot of the opening story, about what's being built?
Sure.
Or do you think, okay, sure. So let's set that up, because I think it's an interesting, what the fuck is that film? Inciting incident for the rest of the novels.
Right, because the repercussions follow through all the way to the last story.
Yeah. So what exactly is this? Is we begin with him on a job, and what is this job?
Right. So we open with him, and he's driving in his dusty black Lincoln Bertha, and he's heading up into the Wichita Mountains to the little town of Durable, where, as he tells his wife, things have gone funny, and he doesn't know a whole lot more than that going in, except that Durable is the site of a Darpa research facility. And what he starts discovering the symptoms of what they've been doing, people behaving strangely, violence, birds falling out of the sky. He stops to talk to one person before he gets into the town proper, and there's a rain of insects from the sky. And what has happened is they were experimenting on a camera to record into another dimension. Basically, if you think about in any sort of exploration, like with outer space and stuff like that, before we actually land people on Mars, we've sent the Mars rovers and stuff to take pictures and samples and all that. So DARPA has figured out how to look into another dimension, and this camera is designed to record what is being seen. Unfortunately, this window into the other world turned out to kind of be a doorway, and the physics, if you will, the super physics of this other dimension are coming into ours and are more powerful than ours. They're just undermining the fabric of what we have going on here in our realm. And so Durable itself is altering in all these kind of crazy, almost psychedelic ways. And he has to get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
That's a great way to tease people into this, I think. It's such a great idea, just like from a visual standpoint, imagining like the setup that he stumbles upon.
Right.
I love it. I mean, it was such a prolific story for the Lost Films anthology.
Thank you.
And to be able to expand that, man, like it's a great opening too for this novel, because you immediately introduce the fact that other dimensions exist and pretty much anything can happen. And what does happen is such a fucking smart way to transition into the other stories that intersect in the book. I really thought that was brilliant. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun to take on also, the idea of I'm not a religious person in any conventional sense, but the concept of what we might think of as super beings from other realities, or they have you seen the film Interstellar?
No, I haven't.
With Matthew McConaughey. It's the opening part is a little dumb, but it gets really cool once they get into space.
Yeah.
And one of the things they deal with in this is interacting with fifth dimensional beings. Okay. And fifth dimensional beings might as well be gods to us. They can do and see and perceive things about reality, about time, about everything that we can't do. And so I had fun in this story touching on that idea, with what's happening in this other kind of like super reality that we've foolishly decided to take pictures of. But then in a different direction, and I won't give away the details, but dealing with the intelligence that we deal with in the second story that's set back in the 50s.
Yeah.
And that's prehistoric. But again, it's something that's so beyond us. And going back to your question about the rules and supernatural, I have a good notion of a lot of the rules, and some of the rules for these two encounters with things beyond us are explained to us via the characters, because the characters understand these things or learn these things. But a lot is not explained. It's kind of we only get the tip of the iceberg, because one, we just don't know, and two, we can't necessarily wrap our heads around these things. It's sort of like, again, introducing what the hell is a fifth dimensional being? Well, I can't conceive really of a fifth dimension. I can get to 3 easy, 4 if we count time, but what's 5? And so it's fun to play with that and then have your characters encountering something like that.
I think the best like cosmic rule stuff touches on all the stuff that you're talking about right now, and the stuff you wrote in this book, the way you unravel the universe and make it seem as a truly frightening thing, like we don't understand it and we will never understand it. And if you ever do see anything, expect a man in a black suit to come knocking on your door and say, hey,
right.
Okay. I know in the movie and the comic books, they have that thing that erases from memory. But if we base this mill in reality, okay, and say this is a real job, and the job is to go convince people not to talk about UFO sightings. What do you think they're doing? Like, I can imagine like myself with that job, okay? And I would not be good at that job because I can't convince anyone to do anything. I imagine just like begging them, like, please don't talk, please don't say anything. Like, how are they doing this, you think?
Well, okay, so two things. First, have you seen the show Peacemaker?
Yes.
Okay, there's a really hilarious moment where Adebayo, who's this sort of hapless but wonderful character and kind of the access character for us as the audience into this secret agent group that has this sort of C-tier superhero attached to it.
I know what you're going to talk.
Right, but she has to go into this apartment building and convince people not to talk about the things that they saw. Yeah. And she's basically doing what you're doing, except then she offers them money. And what I was going to say to you, to the initial answer to your question, is money and threats. It's I will give you this and set you up with this, and that scholarship your son wants, we're going to get you that scholarship. And if you say anything or do anything, your son, that drug conviction, I will make sure that it ruins any college things. This tax thing, you're going to be investigated. Maybe even worse threats. The Men in Black will come and kill you. You will die.
What a terrible job that would be. Imagine if you had followed through with the aspirations to be in secret agents and secret agencies and secret intelligence. My bad. And you got fucking planted as a Man in Black. You just had to go to people's houses and just fucking intimidate them. Do you think you'd be good at that?
Part of me would be.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Are you secretly a monster, John?
I think before, I think in my younger years I might have been a little edgier.
Okay. There's some stuff going to come out about you that's going to make me regret doing this podcast.
No, but here's some money not to talk about it.
Is this how I profit from my
yes.
Okay, excellent.
But I think seriously, I think for most people, money with implied threat is probably enough. And like with, like a drug dealer, once you get somebody hooked on the money, okay, I'm going to give you, for the next 10 years, 10 grand a month.
Do you think you would be able to take that? Like if you yourself saw something that would like change everything that we know about the universe, would you be able to keep that a secret, you think?
It would kind of depend what it is. But, I obviously have, it would be very easy to threaten me through Linda and Coraline.
Yeah.
Any threat to them would back me down. Although it would also really piss me off. And I would want to fuck those people up.
I noticed you didn't also include me on the names of people that could be threatened. Interesting.
Max, Lori and I have been talking.
Yes.
And we've okay. Well, we weren't going to start the intervention until I got down there to San Antonio.
Yeah.
But it would depend on what it is. It's. I think.
I guess like the main thing is always like UFO in the sky, right? So let's say that's what you see.
Okay.
Well, proof that there is an alien.
If there's just proof that there's an alien, I probably could keep it quiet.
Yeah.
In fact, what I'd want to do is be pulled in more. But if it was, okay, we have a secret deal where we are letting the aliens take, 1,000 human beings a year.
Oh yeah.
Because they use them for food, or there was that great. Did you ever watch Torchwood, which was the Doctor Who spinoff on the BBC?
No.
Okay, so Torchwood, just a real backup, real fast thing. Excuse me. Torchwood is a secret agency, a very small secret agency, and they deal with like alien incursions. And in this one episode or one miniseries, that I can't remember the name of.
It's okay.
But it's basically what we find out is that these aliens come to Earth every X number of years, and the British government and the government of other countries have made a secret deal. They won't invade if we give them X number of our children, because what they do is the aliens will take these children, they like plug them into things, and they drain the children like a drug. Okay. And so if I found out something like that, that would be fine. Well, no, yes, it would be totally. Well, you know, I don't have kids. This doesn't affect. No, I mean, that would be the sort of thing where I'm looking at an existential threat to humanity and that sort of the fundamental nature of good and evil. And suddenly I'm willing to put more at risk because this is disaster. Whereas just knowing that we've encountered aliens, I could be convinced to be quiet about that.
Would you be able to resist writing about it?
I'm sure I'd write about it somewhere and then get caught and then be executed.
Now, going back to all these kids will being fed the aliens thing, it's only like a small part of you that secretly hopes that happens. So you could be like the protagonist of this odd conspiracy drama.
I would wet my pants.
Yeah.
Okay, so once I was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I'll tell you how I react to horror. Okay. I was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night and, padding barefoot into the bathroom, and a mouse ran across the floor and ran behind the toilet. And I jumped and I ran the other direction. So I went back in and I sort of kicked the toilet a couple times and nothing happened. I figured, okay, the mouse is gone. So I peed.
Yeah.
The mouse decided then was time to make a break for it. And it ran over my bare foot.
Yeah.
Now, this mouse weighs about as much as a raisin, maybe a raisin and a half. I jumped. I mean, I got more elevation than this white boy has ever had in his life. And I made a sound that I want to say was a ki, but it was the shriek of a 6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
and that's probably how I'd react to sudden surprising aliens.
Later that night, someone knocked on your door and there was a man with the head of a mouse wearing a black suit that said, you've seen nothing.
Then again, there was that, I put up a little thing the other night. I had some creepy half dream where I thought I saw a ghost in the doorway and I went to investigate. It wasn't there. I went back to bed. I looked up, it was back in the doorway, but this time instead of a child, it was an adult. So I ran at it to punch it.
And it was Linda.
It was Linda.
And now she has a black eye.
No, right. Oh shit, it was me. No, so there's that reaction too. There's the irrational, I will punch the ghost because that makes sense. Or jumping and shrieking. And fortunately I had just peed, so I didn't wet myself.
There's always that, I mean, when you think of aliens and government conspiracies, the go-to is always the government wants you not to know about aliens existing. What do you think that logic is? Like, why do you think that is the go-to mentality?
I would say in general for us or for China, or I was going to say the Soviets, but the Russians, for countries that I would say are like the leading edge of human technology, it's so we can acquire technology.
Okay.
Leading, advances in technology that put us ahead of everyone else, which is why people will make goofy speculations about, the States got stealth technology from aliens.
Yeah.
We actually got it, from Skunk Works and Darpa.
Right.
But I think technology would be a huge incentive for us to keep things secret, because unfortunately, when sort of tested and threatened, our species is pretty animalistic and tribal.
Yeah.
Even me, who would love in my lifetime to discover, alien contact, even if it's like we discover microbes on one of Saturn's moons or something like that, like Europa, or that's not Saturn, but
you could say any name. I would not know if that was true or not. Right. You can make up a name. It's fine.
Well, that's one of the places that's likely we might find something.
Yeah.
But my first reaction, if we encountered, like a spacecraft, the entering our solar system, would be, can we kill it?
Yeah.
is it a threat? Can we kill it? And I think that, unfortunately, that's a very typical human response.
Yeah.
Because obviously it has power that we don't understand if it can come here.
That's why you punched that ghost.
Yeah, fortunately it wasn't there, because
it's the same thing, right? You see something you can't explain, you try to attack it.
Totally, because I was filled with fear.
Yeah.
And it was the middle of the night, and I didn't have my glasses on, and so
you just attacked your wife for no reason.
No, I didn't attack my wife.
I noticed she's not on this episode either. Is she okay?
Oh, she's actually been murdered.
Is she coming to the fest?
No, she's not, because she's murdered.
Oh, gee, what a fucking coincidence.
I know. She's in her booth recording right now.
Yeah. I think it's something else that I've like picked up on in movies and books, as far as why like no one wants the like society to know, is like, I guess the assumption is we would stop functioning as a society, right? It's that whole capitalist thing, like, oh, no one will go to their jobs, they will, because they know there's something else in the universe, and they will stop functioning how we want them to function. I don't know how true that is, though. I think go ahead.
So it would depend on what type of contact we had, right?
Yeah.
If there was this incredibly, sorry,
that's me.
Can you hear that?
That's me.
Oh, no, there's some sort of fight going on outside.
Oh, no, a giant jet was passing over my house as we were talking about UFOs. That was pretty spooky.
Oh, geez.
Fight. Is that Linda outside? Is she okay?
They're just shouting, so that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I actually looked outside a couple weeks ago, or Linda got there first. We heard some shouting. Sometimes you'll hear, sounds like a fight, but it's just people talking to each other, because in Bed-Stuy, everyone just like yells across the street, whole conversations, which was weird before I moved to this neighborhood, because the East Village wasn't like that. But now I'm used to it. Some neighbor will just like, I'm walking with my groceries, pickup truck just slews over to the sidewalk. Guy shouts out the window, "How's that dog of yours?"
Well, sometimes we're walking down the street and you tell someone hi and they go, "What the fuck is that supposed to mean?" Really friendly.
Well, that's because they knew you're from Texas. They're like, "What?"
I did have a giant cowboy hat on, and I had a t-shirt that said, "I wish I was back in Texas."
Right. Oh, yeah, that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
But I think back to the question, I think, if some super benevolent intelligence arrived, and we have the cure for diseases, and we can give you here are energy solutions that will power the entire planet and all that sort of things, I think it would certainly be a threat to capitalists and sort of the capitalist barons that profit off this, and so I can see them being problematic. Yeah. But I think in a lot of other situations life goes on. Right. It's like, oh wow, we've made contact with these people or these things, or then you get like the terrifying one, To Serve Man, the Twilight Zone episode, where they're gonna eat us.
I would be okay with being eaten. I mean, I'm not doing much. It would get me out of doing the fest.
What is he doing?
He's trying to join the podcast. As we're talking, folks listening, my dog Frank is on my lap, just headbutting the mic. But like what you said, I agree with that. I think I can easily see a reality where we find out, yes, aliens, creatures and flying saucers, they exist and they visit us sometimes, and just going on about my day, because what the fuck else am I going to do?
I think where you'd have greater problems are in more fundamentalist religious communities.
Oh yeah,
because it would upend all that bullshit. And it would threaten the control of people in those societies or sub-societies over their people, because clearly it would prove a lie to whatever text they were lording over people with.
And also, I mean, how many of them would still deny it? And like, I mean, Jesus Christ, we had a school get shot up, and people still say it was fake. Right. I mean, I can easily see people accusing aliens of being like fucking crisis actors.
Yeah. No, I think that could happen too. I wonder, if aliens are looking at us, though, they've got to be, if they're capable of understanding who and what we are, basically on some level, they have to understand that any kind of contact with us is going to be very volatile.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a global society yet. I mean, as we can see right now with happening in Europe, ripping itself up with, we have another would-be emperor.
Yeah.
And the reactions, everyone, including the United States, unfortunately, would instantly be looking to gain an upper hand over the rest of the world through their relationship with whatever alien, beings we're meeting.
Yeah.
Because the technology and their influence would give us an advantage.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I can also see that's why you've got Men in Black, because the first thing you're going to want to do is, we don't understand what this thing is, but it's obviously very powerful. Let's shut down the information until we understand it.
Right.
So it's really almost like a fear response from the government.
Yeah, let's not spread this any further until it's like a fucking wild fire in the woods, right? You want to stop that before it completely contaminates everything. I don't know what's best though. Like, I don't know if if that inflammation should be contained or what.
Right.
But thankfully, I'm not the one in charge of making those decisions.
Yeah, I mean,
I would fuck it up.
Yeah, I simultaneously think, I don't trust a government to make those decisions, because I think it would, sort of like absolute power corrupts absolutely, and I think it would lead towards bad behavior from governments, really just about any government. But at the same time, we already live in an unstable world, and destabilizing it further doesn't sound like a great idea. And also, if we prove ourselves to be too crazy and violent and with atomic weapons and shit like that, would they just decide to, either isolate us from everyone else, or, okay, you guys are done?
Yeah. Maybe they have isolated us, maybe that's why we haven't seen anyone. Maybe we, I don't know. I'll say this though. I'll end it with this. Any aliens listening to this podcast, you want to come on as a guest, you know how to contact me. I assume ghoulishpod@gmail.com.
Are you sure that an alien has not already been on your podcast?
I'm pretty positive. I think they would have begun with that, like, hello, I am an alien.
What about, something as weird and nonsensical as, hello, I write horror for a living?
No.
I mean,
no alien would be that stupid.
Right, because that makes no sense.
It makes no goddamn sense.
Right.
No alien would be like, oh yes, I write prose and I make money from that, when movies exist.
Right. Oh, movies.
Oh, fuck. How can people find you online?
They can find me at www.johnfosterfiction.com, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well, at JohnFosterFic on Twitter.
Excellent. Any final thoughts about Leech?
Buy it. It's pre-order are available now, and
it's out now, baby.
Yeah, and go to the Ghoulish website, and actually go to the Perpetual Emotion Machine website and click on the Ghoulish.
People can find it by going to ghoulishbooks.com. It redirects to the website.
Okay, cool.
Because it's too late in this process to just do a completely new website.
Yeah, no, I don't think you need to.
I don't think so either.
And and I'm really excited about this one. It's an easy book to access, because you can, really just open it up and read any of the stories out of order if you want to, because they all kind of exist self-contained. Mm-hmm. But if you read them in order, you get the narrative of the novel.
Yeah, it's a collection, but it's not. It's like it's a fix-up novel, right? Like with the Melchian Chronicles, well, they all loosely they make one loose narrative together.
Yeah,
and I would recommend reading them from beginning to end in the way that we have them collected. I think that's the best way to read it.
I agree as well. But just it's a short novel. It's a fun novel. I think people seem to like the characters. God, that book list review was awfully nice.
Yes, it was.
I was very happy with that.
So was I. Book List has been a trade publication that has mostly ignored us for a long time, but recently made some connections with them, so they've been pretty kind to us.
That's good.
That has pleased me quite a bit.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm super excited to see you at the end of this week, man.
Yeah, I'll see you in less than a week. I'll see you on fucking Friday. And
Friday.
I'll be picking you up, I think.
Yeah, pick me up. And and I guess we don't need to do the housekeeping while we're recording, but if you're too crazy, just text me and I'll get a cab. All
right. And anyone else listening, come on down to the Ghoulish Book Fest. Check out ghoulishbookfest.com for more information. Come see myself. Come see John. Maybe he will be rubbing his eyes during the fest. I hope.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope
not. You look like you've been sobbing this entire fest.
I know. I have been. Do you understand? It's so painful talking to you, Max.
And thank you to our sponsors, Tom Deedy, author of Haven and the Clearing, Tenebris Press, an independent publisher of new weird horror from diverse and unsung voices around the world, Bucket of Blood Books and Records, Chicago's premier destination for new and used horror books and movies, Witty Books, an independent bookstore in Tulsa, Oklahoma, specializing in speculative fiction, small press titles, all things spooky. Find them online at wittybooks.com. My Horror Confessional, a horror movie podcast, Nightworms, a horror subscription service, Horror DNA, a horror website, Vic Carey, author of Thorazine Dreams, and Nightfire, publisher of books for the dead, the living, and everyone in between. Nightfire is the new horror imprint from the folks at Tor Books.
Live spooky, die spooky.
Rest in peace, Max.